Okay, so I'm back and I had to relocate. So basically, what happened was where I left off at, I had to delete a few files. So now I should be able to record longer videos without it cutting off. There was a storage issue on this tablet. Okay, so what I was saying before is that coming to America. Um, Again, Eddie Murphy's character would be Patah, um, Michael Dean, and I would be Vanessa Bell Calloway's character, Bastet. That would be me, the original queen that came out in the beginning of the movie, and Amanda, aka Mercedes Love, who is a dancer, or she lives in Pittsburgh. I've met her a few times. She would be Sherry Headley's character. So basically, that would have been something that occurred in a previous life cycle. Not exactly as to how the movie happened. That would be a lot of things are symbolic, as I stated, and then a lot of things are literal. But you have to be able, when you're watching these movies and listening to these songs and whatnot, and different publications and different things, videos, TV shows and everything, you have to be able to realize the difference between what's symbolic and what is literal, what actually happened. So that did happen. That actually happened in a previous life cycle, like just not in that way. So as I stated, the life cycles will be similar. They will be similar, not exactly the same. You see, so you're going to have things that are similar, not exactly the same. So people you have married, people that you're connected to spiritually in different ways, you will come across these individuals most likely in some shape or form. Even if it's not physically. You can come across people in other ways. Because I have not come across a lot of these. My husbands, a lot of them, I've only come across one other husband that I've married, other than Patah, which would be Quincy McConnell. That's the only other individual I came across physically in this life cycle. Michael Jackson, Prince, Nasir Jones, John Bon Jovi, R. Kelly, those are individuals that I know from their music, really. I know them from their music, and it is a connection. It's a connection because I did connect with those people through their music. But see, that's what I mean. So it's like people that you're spiritually connected to, you're not always going to come across them, physically. You come across them in other ways. And sometimes in other life cycles, but sometimes you do come across them physically. So Patah, he has married other individuals. Like I said, I know of two at this point. And again, I'll talk more about coming to America more in depth when I get to that specific area where it's movies, music, and whatnot. But yes, that would be, he has married Miss Mercedes Love in a previous life cycle, as well as Nicki Minaj. So he has married her in a previous life cycle. So you see, these are individuals you come across. And I have seen connections in Michael Dean that he's had with Nicki Minaj, like that weren't physical connections. I don't know. They may have met physically. I don't know. But, I do know that he had a crush on her. That is what I do know. He had a big crush on Nicki Minaj. And he also, has stated this to me. He has stated to me that, wait, what did he say? He said, I can't even remember the exact words, but he said, Michael Dean said something along the lines to, if Nicki Minaj came along, I would have to be with her or something like that. He was joking. He was joking, but I didn't find it funny. But he was joking, but he said something along those lines to me a few years ago, like, um, if Nicki Minaj came along, I might have to leave, or just something along those lines. He said. So, I didn't find it funny, but he started laughing and said he was joking. He said, "I'm kidding, Kim," but I didn't find it funny. But basically, I'm saying that because, like I said, the life cycles will be similar, but not exactly the same. You'll have similarities and differences. So he was a big fan of Nicki Minaj's, and he, liked her for many reasons, and he probably connected with her, in her music, and that's someone he had a big crush on. So you see, you're gonna have like similarities in the life cycles, and I'll talk more about that because he has married other individuals other than those two, but I have to confirm those people at this point. So basically, so I really got off track a bit, but I just wanted to talk about this for the fact of the matter is, like, I have not been happy in that relationship for a long time, and he has not either. So the issue was communication. I was communicating my things I was unhappy with, but he was not communicating things to me that he was unhappy with. So that was the issue. I didn't know what he was unhappy about. I kind of got some ideas at some point, but he just really wouldn't give me a chance at some point. I just know sex was an issue. Sex was an issue. And I'll talk about that as well. I just think at some point he wasn't happy sexually for the simple fact that I was having some physical issues. It was issues along the line of I would feel like I had to pee. Well, I don't want to get too specific, but I'll touch some base on that. But I was complaining about having the urge to pee often. Like it really felt like someone squeezing my bladder. Like it really felt like there was something on my bladder, something squeezing it. And so when I would have sex, at some point we used to have a great sex life, me and Pata, Michael Dean. I don't want to get too detailed into that, but we did have great sex life. And then all of a sudden one day, like, sex really just became really uncomfortable for me because it just would feel like I had to pee all the time, really. And you can't get aroused and you can't get into it and you can't become like turned on if the whole time you're having sex with someone you feel like you gotta pee. So I didn't enjoy sex anymore after a while for that reason. And I didn't tell him that right away. I think I would say like I have to pee it or something, but I didn't tell him like the depth. Like, I don't enjoy sex anymore because I feel like I have to pee the whole time. I didn't say that right away. You're just, the sex life kind of just faded away, really, because of that reason. And, at first I thought it was a UTI for a long time, and then at some point I thought it was like a bladder infection or something, and they, after I got that checked and whatnot, I was told, actually I had brought this, let me back up a little, let me back this up a little bit. I had mentioned that, because I found it relevant, so I'm going to back up a little bit. I had mentioned in one of the previous videos that I had expressed concerns to my gynecologist about not getting a period anymore and whatnot. And that was the issue with me because, like I said, I just wanted to know, like, what was I going to be able to have children anymore? You know what I mean? That really became an issue. So I expressed those concerns to the gynecologist at some point, probably three years ago, I would say 3, 4 years ago, somewhere in that area, I had expressed those concerns to the gynecologist, West Penn Hospital. I expressed those concerns, and like I said, I was told that if I wasn't trying to conceive, that it was not going to be an issue. Okay, so I was like, okay, well, I'm not trying to conceive. So, well, she basically said, if you're not trying to conceive now, we're not going to worry about it right now. We'll worry about it when you are trying to conceive. So, and I disagree with that, because it's all about prevention at my point. But, that's what I was told from a medical professional. So I trusted their expertise. At this point I did. No longer do I. But at this point I trusted, not completely, but at that point I trusted the expertise of medical professionals. So I took that. Now that same exact day, okay, is when I expressed the concerns as to the bladder issue. I said to her, I said, listen, I feel like I have to pee a lot, when I have sex. And even when I'm not having sex, I feel like, I'm constantly going to the bathroom. Like, it's urgent, it's frequent, and, many times, I really would feel like I had to pee really bad, and then I would just be like, urgent, and I get to the bathroom and like 2 drops would come out or something like that. So I really had like symptoms of a UTI. So that's what I thought at first. It was a UTI at first, but that was not what the issue was. As I stated, I felt like there was something sitting on my bladder. Like, that was just really what I felt. It was something on my bladder. So I expressed those concerns. I said, I don't enjoy sex anymore because it feels like I have to pee. You can't get lubricated, and you can't enjoy that if that's how you feel the whole time. Like, you're just, it was worse when it was having sex, because it would really just feel like someone was squeezing my bladder, like when I was having sex. So basically, how turned on can you get that way? And then that other person, they're not going to be turned on either, because you're not turned on. But basically, I expressed these concerns, and she said, her response was, "Aw, like it was a small issue, like, oh, she can't have sex anymore," type of thing. You know what I mean? It was, oh, she doesn't enjoy sex anymore. You know what I mean? It was kind of like very just unconcerned about the issue. And it was just an issue because it's sexual health. It's sexual health, and that's a whole area of, medicine and practice. Medical practice is sexuality and sexual health and, things like that. It's a whole specific area of medicine. So, it was an issue because, my relation, I wanted to enjoy sex because I had enjoyed sex with him and sex in general before him. I had enjoyed it very much. So, it was like I didn't enjoy it anymore. So that, I think that really changed the relationship, because, we just didn't have a good sex life anymore. And we started to see each other less and less. But it was just like, he really didn't, it was communication, because he really didn't express to me his unhappiness in whatever areas he was unhappy in. So I was not able to, I didn't know what he was unhappy with after a while. I was unhappy with a lot of things that I didn't express as well, but I also was expressing a lot more, I felt, than he was to me, as far as why things I was unhappy about and whatnot. But again, I stated the reason why men in general, they have issues with high positions, because they're very easily, distracted, and they can be dictated by beauty as well as sex and sexual favors. So, I just think, we was having better sex with someone at that point, and that he formed a connection with someone else through sex, because that's what he was missing in the relationship with me at that point. And that's fine, but he just never expressed anything to me as to him being unhappy and whatnot. He just kind of just one day didn't want to see me anymore, really. That's kind of what happened, and he wouldn't tell me why. And he really strung me along, because I was ready to move on. We were still talking every day, but I was like ready to move on, because I was very unhappy, because now we're not even seeing each other. I said that, for years. We didn't see each other, or chill with each other, or none of that. So he was right across town. I had just got out of a long distance relationship, so I was unhappy. I was very unhappy. So I just think he was having sex with someone, and he formed a connection through that way. Because like I said, he formed connections through sex. Usually relationships, a lot of them start nowadays with sex. It's not a lot of dating and courting and courtship going on before sex happens anymore. It's the reverse. Usually you're having sex early on, and then later on you start to form a relationship, and that's usually how it goes nowadays a lot of times. Not with everyone, but that's what happened with me and Pata. That's what happened with me and Mike. Well, not in the first life cycle, but in this one. That's what happened with me and Mike Dean. We started having sex first, and we formed a relationship after that. But basically, I was not told that I had fibroids, which I have reason to believe I had fibroids, because I did have a lot of symptoms of fibroids, but I was not informed of that. So that you can't treat something that you don't even know you have. I didn't know what the issue was for years as to why I just would have to pee so much, and it would just felt like something was on my bladder and squeezing my bladder. So that was an issue, and lack of communication. So you see how men can just be dictated by, sex. That can really be their marionette puppet a lot of times. Someone, good sex, that can really destroy a lot of things. Men, like I said, well, I didn't say this on tape, but a lot of men will do things they won't normally do in having sex with someone. That's they're controlled by the lust. Lust controls so many things, and that really can be a marionette puppet. I mean, it can be the puppet master, to a lot of men. Lust, that will shape how they make decisions. It will shape what they do and their actions and their thoughts. So that is why, again, I'm doing this. That is what happened with Horace, as to why he no longer has this position, because he was a puppet master. I mean, he was a marionette puppet and a slave to lust. And that's really what happens with a lot of men in general. So this is why I am doing this right now. And the only other person that can be trusted with this position is my unborn son, who is to be nurtured from birth to prevent that type of thing from happening. So you see, he is to be nurtured from birth and taught the correct things, so that he does not make the same mistakes Horace made and the same mistakes Pata made, because lust was their dictator in their decision making. He abandoned me. Over lust. You see, so that's what happened. So but I will, it's not funny, but I will explain the movie Coming to America soon. I will explain that soon, because there's a lot more to that than what you just seen on the movie, as well as with most other movies and music things I have shared and told people to watch. So basically, Yeah, so the issue is, I have to get back to my train of thought now. I had fibroids to my knowledge, and I was not informed of that. So that's just another thing I suffered in this life cycle that was just an injustice. You know, another injustice, another thing done to me wrong through in a medical setting. And many things have been done wrong to me in medical settings. I expressed a lot of things that happened to me in mental hospitals. Not everything, but I have expressed a lot of that, and just why some of the injustices I have suffered as a result of no one being an advocate for me, no one being in my corner, no one being by my side to help me through all of these things and help fight with me and fight for me. I have not had that. So yeah, I've just really suffered a lot of injustices, not just in this life cycle, but within all 9 of them. And you know, I'm supposed to have someone on my side that I said who's not supposed to be. I don't know what he's been doing. I got an idea, but you know, I don't know what he's been doing. So basically, it's an issue. It's really an issue. It's really an issue because it really. I'm just not supposed to be doing this alone, and I'm not supposed to be in it alone. So that's the issue. Because it really, I'm not emotional. I'm a woman. I'm emotional. It dictates a lot my emotions. You see, emotions, I would say, are the weakness to women. You know, women are emotionally not usually as strong as men. So you see, men are more slaves to lust. Women, we're slaves to our emotions. So that really dictates a lot of our decision making and whatnot. Because you know, emotions are very complex, each on its own. That's a whole nother subject. So, like I said, I just haven't been happy, and I'm just, you know, being honest about that. And I'm sure he wasn't happy with me at some point, you know, but he just never expressed to me what he was unhappy about. He never expressed to me any of that. He hasn't expressed a lot of things to me. I really feel like he's a stranger at this point, and I'm just being honest. You know, I'm sure there were a lot of other factors as to his absence this past year. So I'm just going to get off of that subject for a while, and because I was talking about the unborn son, that's how I got onto that subject, because I was just expressing that Ra does not want me to have this position anymore due to my lack of protection, and just he's tired of seeing all the things done to me. I have been murdered many times, as I stated, because people want to stop this from happening. They want to stop the Savior from getting stronger and putting out the knowledge. So I've gone through a lot of barriers, and a lot of things injustices have been done to me as a result of who I am from birth. It's been from birth, and it's the whole bloodline. They track the bloodline. So they were waiting, like whenever someone got pregnant, they were waiting, you know, for the birth, and so they could destroy the child's life, that new child. They destroyed our lives, the whole bloodline. But you know, they really had to pull out the jugular on me, because I was very promising as someone to complete the position. Okay. So basically, the unborn son, like I said, yes, that is the task. One of the tasks, to have a son who will take the position, will inherit the position at the appropriate time, and he is to be nurtured from birth. Nurtured from birth is very important, not sabotaged from birth like everyone else, like myself, my sister, my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, all my ancestors. We were intended to be nurtured from birth, and that did not happen. So, the issue is he's supposed to be nurtured from birth, and to prevent, to give him the right knowledge from birth. This is how they did it in ancient times. This is why you would have children that were like children. They 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, and sometimes they knew more things than people that were, adults. People that had been in the kingdom all their life. They knew more things than some of those people at like 5 or 6 or 7, because again, from birth they were nurtured for the position. They were supposed to do the position, so they would be taught from birth, things people had no idea what was even going on or occurred. So, and they also did that because they did not know when that child was going to have to take over that crown and take over that position, because many times they wanted to get the child as knowledgeable as they could at a younger age, because they did not know what may or may not happen, because many times the king or the queen, they got killed, or something happened and that child had to take the throne. They had to be a king or a queen at a very young age, not intentionally at that young age, due to something occurring with his parents' death. So they wanted them to be ready just in case at any moment something had to happen. They had to take that position. So this child, this boy, this little boy that I'm supposed to have, he is to be nurtured from birth, okay? So to prevent any of the things that have happened to me, have happened to our ancestors, as well as the men in our family, because they knew from a long time it would be a woman who would be the savior. They knew this. Okay, I don't want people that they knew this. And so that's how they knew to look out for the women. Now, the men in our family, they were eliminated, not because of the position, but because of the protection. So you see how that works. Many men were targeted in the family, and many men of spouses and husbands and relationships and marriages in our family were targeted specifically because that's the protection. That's our protection. The men are to be our protectors. So you take the protection away, you're just out there. Women, defenseless. Well, not defenseless, but just not as strong. So yeah, the unborn son, he is to be nurtured from birth to prevent a lot of things that happened to me and my ancestors. Yes, he's to be nurtured from birth for those reasons, to prevent what happened to Ptah, to prevent what happened to Horus, because again, they were slaves to lust, and that dictated their decision making and caused them to make a lot of mistakes, and they lost some high positions due to not being able to control lust. So we can't have that with the unborn son. So what else on the unborn son? Yes, that son is to be with Ptah. It's supposed to be with Ptah, but like I said, the show must go on. So, if he's found to be unworthy, or just he's not desired to do it, he doesn't want to do it, the show must go on, and he has to do a good job at doing it too. So it's not just get someone pregnant and disappear. He has to be invested in that the relationship with me, as well as the father, as well as the parenting and the fatherhood of it. So, because that dictates a lot of things, because he won't have the appropriate nurturing and the appropriate protection and the appropriate, all his appropriate things he needs if the parents are not okay. That's the issue. That's what's going on with that. The unborn son. Okay, and this again, this child does not have to be born right away. This is not something that has to happen tomorrow. Okay, it can happen tomorrow, the conception, but it does not have to. Okay, I don't want it to happen tomorrow because like I stated, I'm just going to be open here. I don't know him anymore. I have not talked to him very much in the past year. I don't know Patah. I know who he was. I know what he did do for me, but I don't know him. People can change a lot in a year, and I don't know anything about him at this point. And even when I did know him and I was talking to him on a daily basis, he never really opened up a lot to me about his personal life, about his previous relationships, about just a lot, just his family, some of his struggles, his love lives. He didn't open up to me about a lot of that stuff. So I don't know who he is, and I never knew who he was because he never opened up to me about a lot of things. He did about some things, but not about a lot. I opened up to him about a lot of things. Basically, I don't know who he is. So I don't want to have a child right away because that's what I did in the past. I would, get pregnant and I wouldn't know the person. I didn't know those individuals I got pregnant by. That was part of the reasons I terminated those pregnancies, and I wasn't 100% comfortable with, even the pregnancy as when I was going to keep it with the miscarriage that I had. So, I didn't know those individuals, and that's what a lot of people get into trouble with because they get pregnant by people they don't truly know, and that causes a lot of issues with absentee parents and a lot of things, a lot of struggles in those areas. So basically, I'm to have this unborn son, and basically, as far as the position of Savior, that is always going to be something I have the primary position of, but that will become a duo position when and if I get married. So basically, I have the knowledge to do the position. That's the reason I'm the only one trusted with the position as of now. But once a wedding happens, that person will be a co-savior, basically. That person will take on that position. So he will not only be... That's why you have to be worthy of it, really. It's really a position you have to be worthy of because it's a lot to it. And it's not just, it's not peaches and cream, really. Not all of it. It's a lot that people don't know about it. So I don't, it may look fine or easy, but it's not. It's really not. There's a lot to it that I've been through a lot that people don't know about in all life cycles. And again, I will talk more about that. So once I get married, my husband will become co-savior, meaning he is to assist with the position as well as I am. Now this works both ways and vice versa. He is to assist with the position. I am to assist with the position. He is to assist in ways that I won't assist in, and vice versa, And again, the men are the protector of women. So, he's, so to speak, he would be my savior as well. in many ways, so to speak, because my father, Ra, is my savior. And I will again talk more about Ra, who I already stated, who he has been identified as in this life cycle. Yes, the physical descendant of Ra. And this is true, the physical descendant of Ra, the physical descendant of God himself. We're talking about, because God has a spirit, and then he has flesh, see, just like the Savior and everyone else. So, yeah, the physical descendant of Ra would be Barack Obama. And I have stated that, and that is the truth. And I will talk more about that soon. And we're talking physical here. We're talking the physical descendant, of Ra. The physical descendant of Ra in this life cycle would be Barack Obama. And I have stated that that is my father, and that is true. I don't know what they're doing. I think we need a blood test, really. But, I've stated that. So I'm sure they've done one probably. And, people lie a lot, so I don't know if he was told the correct information or if he was not told the correct results of that test, but it has been confirmed, and I know for a fact that I am his daughter. It has been confirmed. And I'm talking physically now at this point, so not just spiritually. I'm also his spiritual daughter. I'm his spiritual daughter as well as his physical. That is true, and it has been confirmed. Because that, again, is something I really had to confirm, because it's a big thing, you know what I mean? So that the same with the husbands. Those are things I didn't say for a long time that I had a suspicion of, or there was information being received about those individuals, and I did not share all of it right away because I wanted to be 100% sure before I said something about those things. So just like Nasir Jones, Michael Jackson, John Bon Jovi, Prince, Robert Kelly, even Patah, I had to make sure that was I had to make sure Michael Dean was the correct descendant of Patah. I really had to make sure of that as well. And Quincy McConnell, and anyone else I may have married. I really had to do confirmations to make sure I had the right information before I said anything about that. So that is true. I am the physical descendant of Ra, Barack Obama, and I am the spiritual descendant of Ra as well. So we need a blood test, and we need the correct blood test. So we need the correct results, basically. Because they may have, I'm sure they've done a test, because I stated that a while ago online. But I am unaware as to if he was told the correct results or not, because I know the correct results. So people lie through their teeth, even on blood tests and things like that. So they just want to keep the family apart. They want to keep the relationships apart throughout the family. They want to separate the marriages. They want to separate the relationships, the family relationships, because that is the support that we need to do this position. And that is why Patah is so important. Michael Dean, he's so important in this because of the protection and the lack of support that I have due to his absence, as well as the absence of Barack Obama as a father in my life. That would be support, that would be knowledge, that would be a lot of things. So they're absent in my life, physically, see. So it's an issue. It's an issue because the women need support. And that's not just with me, that's with anyone. There's a lot of women and little girls and boys, men and boys, that grow up without the proper support from family. Like they grow up without a father in their life. They grow up without a mother in their life in some instances. And that really dictates their life. It really can dictate your life. The lack of family support, the lack of correct support. And the same goes with spouses and marriages, and romantic relationships, because you really have to be able to have support from that person. That's your other half. That's your better. So you have to have the proper and correct support to be able to do certain things. Just anything you want to do in life. If you're in school, you're most likely to succeed in schooling and getting through school and graduating if you have the proper support. And it's a fact. It's a fact. If you're in school and you don't have someone rooting you on, and you don't have someone, doing that, you might become unmotivated and not do it, and you're messing up as much. But if you have that, you know what I mean. So, and that's not just with school. That's with anything in life you're trying to achieve, whether it's a position, a job, a career, schooling, motherhood. Motherhood, you have to have the proper support. Motherhood especially. Hold on. Motherhood especially, you have to have, and fatherhood, you have to have the proper support. It works both ways and vice versa. So that is the status with that. So the unborn son, like I said, he will inherit the position. He is intended to inherit the position. And it is to be, again, a physical conception. So that's pretty much what happens with the unborn son. Now, really, I want to talk. I'm at 41 minutes right now, so I will talk a little bit about. I will talk a little bit about the video, David Bowie, "Within You," that song. I just want to talk a little bit about that because, again, I have a whole section devoted to various movies, various music and videos and whatnot. The song "Within You" by David Bowie is just very meaningful because really David Bowie symbolically in the movie The Labyrinth and that soundtrack, he is symbolically APEP. Okay, that is not the real APEP in real life. That is symbolic. Okay, so he would represent APEP in The Labyrinth. Okay, the movie The Labyrinth that told people to watch with Jennifer Connelly, David Bowie. He is symbolically APEP in that movie, David Bowie, and on the soundtrack. And I'm sorry, "Within You" is also on the Labyrinth soundtrack, and he's just the song is very significant because he states the last line of that song is "I can't live within you." So what that means is that APEP for some time had been trying to get me pregnant. I'll talk more about APEP because I really have to say a lot about him. But APEP had been trying to get me pregnant throughout his life cycles. And he was not able to succeed in that because of who he was. Okay, Raw would not allow a child to live and survive. APEP, he would not allow that to happen because APEP had a lot of knowledge. He knew I was to have a child, APEP fell in love with me. I'll talk more about that. APEP had fallen in love with me at some point. Satan is APEP. He had fallen in love with me at some point, and basically he figured if he got me pregnant, he would be unstoppable. That child would be unstoppable, and he would really succeed in, what he was trying to do if he had a child with me. Ra was just 2 steps ahead of him, God was, because he wouldn't allow a child to live inside of me that was conceived with APEP. And now I'll talk more about that. But, you know, since I'm on the subject of APEP and Ra, I just want to say another thing. At some point, okay, Ra had made a deal with APEP. Oh, I'm sorry. At some point, Ra had made a deal with APEP in regards to me. And that would be symbolic to the story that I shared a while ago. Her name was Persephone. That would be symbolic to that story of Persephone and, I believe that's in Greek mythology. See, so you see the stories will be somewhat similar in a lot of beliefs, but just a little spin on it. But, you know, that would basically be symbolic to that story. At some point, Ra had made a deal with APEP in regards to me. I was captured by APEP at some point, and basically I was given something to eat and a pomegranate, which was very symbolic because it's, you know, a pomegranate, another name for a pomegranate is an Indian apple. But, you know, the pomegranate is, you know, it's not just to do with Indian things, but it's a lot to it. But a pomegranate basically was a very popular fruit in ancient times. A pomegranate, it was very popular. A lot of maidens and a lot of princesses, just in general, a lot of people enjoyed pomegranates very much. It was very popular. So that is why he targeted that specific fruit. He put a spell on a pomegranate, and he captured me. He put a spell on a pomegranate. And if you're kidnapped by somebody, you're gonna get hungry at some point, and you know you're naive, and they offer you a pomegranate fruit that, you know, is just you know, you take it. You're captured, you're kidnapped, you're hungry, you take the fruit, you know. But you know, being naive, you don't realize that, you know, there's a spell on it or something. Because this is true stuff. It's really true stuff. So he had put a spell on that, a pomegranate, through witchcraft and black magic. And, you know, that basically binded me to him for half of the year. So basically, I would be Persephone in Egyptian, which that occurred, and that's the basis of where the Greeks slash Rome and or the Romans got the concept of that story, Persephone. I would be the Egyptian Persephone, the original Persephone, because at some point I was captured, and he offered me a pomegranate to eat, and I did take a bite of that. And as soon as I took a bite of that, just like on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and a lot of other things, I was binded to him for half of the year. So during autumn and the winter is when I had to return to him, and during spring and summer is when I was able to return to Earth, which is why it's more sunshine in the spring and summer and whatnot. Okay. Let me see. That's pretty much it when it comes to the unborn son. You know, there's always more, so, you know, I'll get to more of that. But the next topic I have in line is the virginity side of it. And that is very important. I'm at 48 minutes. I'm going to try 10 minutes, I might be able to get it done. If not, I'll just have to pick it up on another video, because I will stop at an hour. Basically, the virginity is very important in general. When I shared the zodiac, the writing on the zodiac Virgo, which is approaching, I think the season's already here. Virgo season, is that here already? I think it is. But basically, the virginity basically, the primary reason that I have chosen to, not chosen, I was instructed, but I also choose this. I chose to do this, I'm sorry, and instructed to do that. The primary reason is to protect myself physically from any tainting, meaning any STDs, AIDS, anything, any physical ailments, and pregnancy at this point, because, I am fertile, so you don't want to have another unwanted pregnancy. And not just because of that, but for spiritual reasons. Because like I said, of how things worked in ancient times when it came to virgins and whatnot, virginity, and I'm getting back to that. I'm getting back to my ancient beliefs and my ancient roots. So that is also why I chose, not just I was instructed and I choose to do this. So let's be clear. Spiritual reasons, and I will discuss these spiritual reasons. Spiritual purity. It's spiritual purity, it's physical purity, it's emotional purity, it's mental purity, and it's sexual purity. Because, like I said, when you have sex with people, you tend to you build a connection with these people. So I don't want that to dictate any of my decision making when it comes to monarchs, when it comes to the position marriage, the position with the unborn son, no unwanted pregnancies as well. I don't want to taint myself in any aspect of existence, okay? Because that is literally how all my relationships have started, with sex. I have sex with them first, and then you develop the relationship based off the bond that you create when you have sex with people. So I want to talk more about sex as well at some point, but that's a whole nother subject. But virginity, it's not just because of that, and it's because I also was instructed to do this for various reasons. For those reasons that I just stated, as well as, I have a lot of making up to do as well, because, I stated what happened when I was 14, and that really was like the game changer in my life. I was shunned after a while, and, basically after that, I took on various occupations that I would not have been doing, had no business doing. So, even though I was shunned, Raw Spirit, he wasn't always with me physically, but he's seen everything I've ever done spiritually. He's seen everything I've ever done. He's seen physically what I've done. He's seen that. He's seen sexual things I've done. He's seen all the exotic dancing, everything I've done sexually. He's seen all of that. And it was like, it broke his heart, obviously, to see his daughter, the princess of Egypt, doing these things. So it was like a big heartbreak. That would be a big heartbreak for any father, So, I have a lot of making up to do. I'm not supposed to, and that's also, there's just many, many reasons I choose right now to not have sex. Also because I'm in love with someone as well. I'm in love with Ptah, I am still in love with him. So it's hard for me to have sex right now with someone when your mind is on someone else, because, that is literally how I move on from people. I might not be over that person emotionally or mentally, but you form a new sexual connection with someone, and it just helps you move on faster. And that is also why I'm not having sex. I just don't want sex to dictate, my decision making. And as far as I'm concerned, as when it comes to that, the fibroids, they're gone. Um, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have any issues really in that area. Like, I get sexually aroused. It's not that I'm, don't get aroused anymore. At this moment, I do get sexually aroused at times. I have, you know, feeling down there. I feel aroused, like, for years when I was having those issues with fibroids, I didn't feel that. So, I do feel that now. And I have felt that for a long time. As I stated, the last time I had consensual sex would have been last year in September. And, I enjoyed it. I was with an old friend, Lamont Giles, and I enjoyed that. That was consensual, and I enjoyed that. And I called him because I had been calling Patab to, for a while, trying to, that's who you're supposed to call. That's who I was in love with. He would not see me physically. So at some point, I did seek out other individuals, and that was the only individual I had sex with consensually. After the whole Donald Mateer fiasco, which I will talk about at some point. But that was the last individual I had consensual sex with, was Lamont Giles, and that was September of 2016. After that, I was sexually assaulted twice. So basically, at this point, I am sexually aroused, and I do get sexually aroused. Because the fibroids are gone. I don't know how they're gone. I was not treated for fibroids, but they're gone. I got off the medicine, and those issues went away. Those issues, many issues went away once I discontinued that medicine I was prescribed. So many issues went away. I just want to clear that up. It's not that, it's an issue, because I just had to clear up a lot of things. I just get aroused, but I'm mentally and spiritually stronger than I am physically. So that is why I'm able to fight the arousals and whatnot. And also, virginity, I am not having sex also because purity. I represent purity, and I want to represent purity, and that's what I want. That is something I have not had a lot in my life, and also for my daughter, also for other young women and other young girls, not just, and as well as older women too, because you have the power to take back your virginity. You have the power to do that, and that's the fact of the matter. You're in control of that, and it's just, the fact of the matter is I have had a very negative experience when it came to losing my original virginity. And in each of the 9 life cycles, I've had negative experiences with my first time having sex. So, I don't want that again for myself. I want a happy occasion. I want to be in love with the person. I'm losing that too. I want to enjoy it. I want to, be aroused. Like, I am aroused, but it's like when you're in love, that just heightens your arousal. You know what I mean? I want to be in love with the person, and I want to have the chance to lose it the right way, but in the way that's special for me, in my heart, not a way that I have lost it in the past. Just not special, just, because it's very special. Virginity is very special. And it's really something, you're not supposed to be having sex with anyone unless you're married, unless it's a mistress. And I will talk more about the mistresses and the misters. I'll talk more about that. But there was only certain instances where mistresses and misters were used. So I have to talk about that because I don't want the wrong information getting out there when it comes to mistresses and misters. And multiple marriages and whatnot. So basically, um, you know, those are reasons that I choose and was instructed and to wait to do that. And again, it is not because I have a disease. I don't have HIV or AIDS. I don't have any STDs at this point. I have healed myself.